2CB, or that I think of when I think of 2CB, is that it feels like a lighter LSD. And to me, lighter, I mean, it has less of a mind-altering state. It just maybe visual, nice feeling, a little bit maybe of the mental aspect or the spiritual. But it seems like LSD light. Does that sound right to you at all, or does it sound like I'm missing something?
I find it very difficult to talk about any kind of characterization because it so much differs on the
person.
Type of experience. Yeah, and the person. And also the same kind of substance can be different in different settings. In my own experience.
Of course.
Greatly, really.
Although I would say that's greater with something like, say, LSD than MDMA. MDMA, I take it, whether the setting are complete opposites, I'll still get basically the sort of feeling of almost forced grin and a nice happiness, but it's, in my opinion, a little bit forced. Whereas 2CB is a easier one, more relaxed feeling of happiness. But LSD, you change the setting, you change the set, and it's just a completely different group of reactions that'll get to it. I don't mean between good and bad, I just mean whether it's internal, external, whether it's more about my body feeling, or if it's more about what I'm seeing. So this is probably just why I have a preference for LSD, but is that accurate?
I think it's less psychedelic or introspective, perhaps. Although, in my experience, I would have some introspect the day after 2CB, for example, which was very interesting. Like after the drugs effects are finished.
Right. So what would you have? Explain a little bit further.
Introspections or...
Introspection, okay.
Yes, like,
so thoughts about yourself and about whatever's going on around you. Like with LSD, I have that very strongly. I call it my lucid period. So for like 4 or 5 hours after the trip, as soon as I've lost the effects, I still have it feels like my filters have been completely cleaned, and I can think more clearly, I can feel more clearly. I'm not having any mental or visual effects, but these feelings of being able to solve problems, being able to, think about, grander issues, is very good, very clear at that point. Whereas I go to sleep, I wake up, the next day I'm back to, my usual muddled self.
Well, it depends. Sometimes it can sustain some days, I would say.
For me, not so much. For me, it's usually, I really, like if I have some problems that are troubling me, that are all tangled up like they usually are, after an LSD trip for about 3, 4, or 5 hours, usually until I fall asleep, I can actually extricate them and say, okay, this is a problem and this is what I need to do. And I've had some very nice epiphanies during that lucid period. But then the next day, I'm lucky if I remember them. And I definitely stop having that feeling of everything is much more clear and much more easily, unentangleable, whatever, however that's pronounced. Okay.